Hello and welcome to episode 35 of our Timberborn Update 7 Folktails Hard Mode playthrough here in cycle 45, day 19. I don't know why I forgot what it was. We've got 6 days left in this drought here. Last time, we did a lot of little fixes, fixed a couple, well, I guess not really like huge things as well. But we also posed a couple of questions that you guys gave me some good input on. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit right at the start of today's episode. And it seems like a lot of you are in agreement that we need to do something pretty cool up here in terms of like an inner keep or whatever for the castle and a bunch of different things out in the lowlands here. And I think we can definitely do that by the end of the series. But remember, it's going to take time. We have to be sure that we can do everything else first. So one of the things that was proposed was to keep this as just kind of a normal reservoir thing. And the land that's like up here would be a good opportunity to do like the inner keep. And then we could have various bridges or whatever to get out to this way or build some sort of a structure here. And then outlying, I guess, farmland. Someone specifically mentioned serfs. We could do all sorts of interesting stuff to kind of emulate the old medieval castle type stuff. But we also have people that brought up, hey, like you have this right here. This is a pretty cool structure where we have just this pretty nice straight shot out here. If we remove this blockage, we could very easily, thanks to the new terrain behaviors, turn this into just a complete, what's the right word I'm looking for? Natural aqueduct kind of thing that we talked a little bit about before, without too much trouble, and that could bring clean water out this way. But that would require it to be, I guess we could just take a look at this height here. It would require the water to be up to level 10, which, I'm pretty sure this water source here and this water source here could combine to fill that up no problem. But that would also mean that we're not putting water all the way down here into the main reservoir. So we got a couple things to think about long term, what we want to do with that. Because remember, we did just this past temperate cycle get all of this clean water going into our main reservoir. You can see right here we've got this side coming this way, this side coming this way, and then of course bad water just goes straight here and then out this way. So I'm pretty confident that this existing quantity of reservoir space can be filled as we have it configured, and I don't really want to mess with that, especially because, some of you guys really liked the idea of tunneling under this to expand the reservoir. I don't know that we need the extra capacity, but we will see. We will see what happens. Another thing that we need to address is somehow I only have 2 bots in this bad water rig. We're going to fix that immediately. I'm going to put all 10 back in because someone left a comment saying, hey, you're out of extract. Well, how is that possible? I have 2 of these things and we're going really well. But, when we rebuilt this, we didn't have all 10 bots in here, so that's probably exactly what went wrong. So we fixed that, and we talked a little bit about what we want to do here. Again, very long process, but I really like the idea. I think that would be cool, and I think we can also kind of rebuild this wall a little bit. Remember that if we want it to come out this way, then it has to be at height 10. And right now, if this gets any higher than, I guess we could look at this one, height 8, it's going to spill out here through this mine area, and so on and so forth. So we would have to kind of close this up a little bit. So we'll keep that on the back burner, keep thinking about ideas for all of this stuff, and eventually I do want to do something with that. But today, friends, we are finally going to correct this error. You guys have incredible patience. You have incredible patience in dealing with my my inabilities to commit math. So, I don't know why this completely breaks my brain, but I have been assured in the comments that because this is a range of 0 to 127, that I just treat this as 128, and then the middle is between 63 and 64, which would be these 2 blocks here would be the middle. So this just needs to be moved over 1 block. Now, I could do that, or I could say, you know what? We don't have to have it be perfectly square, and I could widen this 2 blocks this way, which would still mean that 63 and 64 are actually in the middle. It's just we'd have 2 in between the outside wall here, and we'd have 2 in between the outside wall here. I think that is probably going to be the easiest way to do it. And I'm not, I'm not opposed to doing it that way. It's going to make it look a little bit less kind of ridiculous. So I'm just going to do it, and if we have a problem with it, then no, we don't. Just to be perfectly honest with you. I hope they can actually, reach this. But that's going to solve our problem in the least stupid way possible, I think. Hopefully that remains the case. So then this will just be its own thing. Hopefully they can build that without any, nonsense, and then we can make this look a little bit better at a different time and just move on from there. So in theory, doing this the way that I originally thought we needed to, I need to tunnel. I don't need to. I guess I don't need to, but I'm going to tunnel this out and just have that be too wide so it can just be left alone and we can move on with our lives. But remember what I said a couple minutes ago about us wanting to turn this into like an inner keep type thing? That's exactly the kind of thing that would make sense to use a kind of non-standard design for battlements or things on the wall or something like that. So we can come up with whatever in-game reason for doing that, and I'm sure we could have a good time with all of that when we get to that point. So just wanted you guys to know that I am actually reading all the comments. I do appreciate all of you guys leaving your input, your feedback, and I do want to take as much of that into account as I can as we continue moving forward. But there's still plenty more that needs to get done, and I thought it would be smart today to try and focus on integrating power over here, kind of redoing this whole mess, and start the process, or I guess continue the process, rather, of having these walls, this wall at the very least, wrap not necessarily all the way around, but more of the way around. Because look, we have all this power being generated here. It would be pretty simple to just bring it over here to take care of all of our metal processing needs. The alternative there would also be, okay, if we just have the wall integrated all the way down here, then we can leave the mine in here, but we don't necessarily have to have the processing here. We can have the processing over in the main industrial area. Like, that's always an option. But I do like the idea of this being localized, and I think that would be a nice thing to be able to do. But regardless, I think we just need to go ahead and rip these windmills out and rip the gravity batteries out and let it be what it's going to be. We have a lot of metal. We have 1,400 stored up. I really don't think we're going to need 1,400 probably for the rest of the series. At this rate, we have 374 bots. I think we're probably fine. So we'll come back and look at this in a minute. I did want to talk about what we were doing here. There's a number of you that really did not like the idea of us completely sealing this off because you thought it was a cool thing that was exploiting the difference in height here. Which, I would be tempted to agree. I was pretty proud of this when we came up with it, and then, a couple people said, hey, you didn't fill this in, so I just thought, okay, well, let's fill it in. But then the rest of you came out of the woodwork and said, no, don't do that. It was cool the way it was. So I figured we'd compromise and just leave it as it is now, where there's still a little bit of it open here, and we have these sluices here. But one more thing that we probably should do is this extra tooth here. Remember, these were natural overhangs before. This could be removed, and in fact, I kind of want to go ahead and blast off these little corner bits as well, because that's going to, in the very unlikely event of a bad water backflow, that's going to make it so that it can't possibly get into our trees here. Just create a little bit more space. We can do these little notches here, just real quick. And that, I'm pretty sure that we're never going to have an issue with this. So we'll just have to let it be what it's going to be. I do realize that this suspension bridge getting on top of here is going to also mean that there's no possible way we can demolish this. So, to that end, we will unfortunately have to do a very silly temporary thing here. And it's fine, we have the materials, it's not going to be a big deal. But we'll just have them do that so they can, do what they got to do. And then we can move on. So, now that we're, 10 minutes into the video, we can actually start doing stuff. Like I said, I want to remove all of this. I think we had a good idea with putting in these water wheels here and redirecting all of this. It was just perhaps a touch misguided in that I'm trying to shove way too much bad water through here, and I should have thought about it a little bit more. So probably a little bit too late to go back and completely redo it now, but I did want to acknowledge that was probably something that we could have done a whole lot better with. I also think based on that, we can go ahead and get rid of these 5 pieces of dirt here, because what that's going to do, we peel this back a little bit, that's going to just make this a complete straight shot with no drop-off, and should hopefully, being the operative term, kind of reduce a little bit of the turbulence here and make it a little bit easier for the bad water to, not be dumb. So, knowing that, what I'm going to do, since we're still kind of talking about stuff, I'm going to build another metal block storage. See, I hadn't really thought this out too well here, but I think it probably makes sense to just go ahead, put a little thing here, let them build it, let them start filling it up, so when I do actually get around to removing the windmills, we have that much extra left, so that it's not that big of a deal if it's a while before it gets hooked back up. Now, all that being said, we do still have plenty of stuff to do before we absolutely have to disconnect this. So, take a look here. I'm pretty sure this is height 16, yeah. What are we looking at height-wise here? This is, this is only 10? It's only 12? Oh boy, okay. So we have an opportunity here. Maybe we don't have to go all the way up to 16. That is an option here. This is set at 11. I don't think that's, I don't think that looks terrible. This would be 12 on the outside. So we take a look here. This is already, this is already 11. Okay, so if we only went up to 11 on this side, outside the main wall, I think that is probably going to be about the best we can do, to be perfectly honest with you. All right, so here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this up. That's going to be 9. I'm going to go up to 12, because that was going to be our side there. This is already at 11. This is already at 12. That would be fantastic. What's the height of our little doohickeys here? Is that actually 12? It is. Okay, well, you know what? That would work out absolutely perfect. If the very, very tip-top of what we're building now is 12, because then we can just put the stations on there and it's the same height, and everybody's happy forever. That's not how it works. But a man can dream. Come on, click correctly, thank you. And then we can just have this come out here. Now, I have not forgotten that we do have a bad water exit to contend with. And that is going to be something we're going to have to build into here. Oh, we don't need these. We can go ahead and get rid of this. I think we want to keep our teeth here, our weirs. I don't know why I say it like that, but probably would be a good idea to have... you know what? I'll make it 5 wide. Is it going to ever have to be 5 wide? No. But, okay, tangent time. For whatever reason, I really enjoy looking up, public works documents about, like stormwater management and stuff like that. Because that was a bond issue that passed in my community several years back. But, hey, we need more money to work on stormwater drainage improvements. And I'd seen firsthand that there's a whole lot of flooding and all this other... Anyway, you don't care. But I got to actually see, some of the technical drawings for this stuff. Wow, this is really interesting. It's like when RCE did a couple videos, I don't know, last year sometime, about the stormwater drainage management simulator thing. And talked about how he used to be in that kind of work. You know what? This is really cool. So, I kind of gained a newfound appreciation over this whole period of I'm not going to say studying this stuff, because, I don't have a... this doesn't need to be... All right, hold on. We will return to the tangent momentarily. I just have to, realize that I don't actually need to make that into tunnels when I can just use regular dynamite. What was I? Okay, yeah, I was talking about the different stormwater management stuff. But we got to this bit about, I say we, because I'm including you in this discussion. We got to this bit about culvert sizes and materials and all that different stuff. It's like, oh, we're replacing this 36-inch corrugated steel pipe with this 42-inch cast concrete thing. Like, you know what? That's really cool, because you don't think 36 to 42 inches diameter, you know, okay, that's not really that much of a difference. But remember, it's area of a circle. And, you know, if you know anything about pizza size, then that's very easy to comprehend, even for someone who's not good at math. You know, like a large pizza, a 14-inch pizza, or whatever that works out metric-wise to those of you in the rest of the world. Our large pizzas in the United States are typically 14 inches, which I guess is 35 centimeters, maybe. Anyway, regardless, the medium pizza is 12 inches, roughly 30 centimeters. It might not seem like that's that big of a difference size-wise, but you get a lot more area than you think. Anyway, so going back to the culvert sizes, it's like, you know, you wouldn't think that it would make that big of a difference going from 36 to 42, but the amount of volume across the entire length of a culvert pipe under a road or whatever is tremendous. So, all that to say, I'd rather overbuild the infrastructure for, I guess we could call it stormwater management, than underbuild it, because it's a lot harder to do disaster cleanup than it is to just say, hey, okay, let's overbuild this and be done with it. And, you know, we're not having to contend with city council meetings and quote-unquote responsible usage of taxpayer funds. Like, we're just playing a video game. We can do what we want. So, make the giant tunnel. Life goes on. Everybody's happy. I hope that's going to reach. I wanted it to, and then, you know, the autosave decided it didn't want to. Regardless, we've got a lot of this to deal with. So what I'm going to do first is just drag this out all the way across, and then, you know, I think you can probably guess. Yes, friends, we will time-lapse, but I did want to go ahead and get this in here. Just ready to go. Relatively. Is set up nice and simple. We'll get our path going this way, and then so on and so forth. I'll give them a separate thing right here in the middle. And then I think I'm going to have to come in... No, one too high. One too high. Come in like this. And then we can connect all of this. Because they'll build pretty quickly once they're actually, you know, set up correctly. So that's 12. Okay, then this is too high. Excuse me. Anyway. So we're going to go ahead and enter time-lapse mode now. I know it's a whole thing. I'm trying really hard to manage the time of these episodes a little bit better so people don't get bored. Or don't say, hey, well, nothing's happening, this is blah, 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 blah. The style of videos where I don't cut things out is really great most of the time. One, because I can just focus on playing the game and I don't have to worry about, like, creating a story in real time or whatever. And I don't have to go back and cut and splice, edit stuff together to fit in a 20-minute video. Like, no, I just play the game and you watch me play the game. It's a good arrangement. It works. It's a lot of fun, and it does not cause me to spend 12 hours of effort to produce a 20-minute video. Which, plenty of people do that. Not knocking it at all. That's if I had to do that every single day, there's no possible way I'd be able to do this. So, but what does tend to happen that is not necessarily great is it ends up toward the end of series, as you've seen in the Ember Pulse playthrough, and not really this one specifically, but a lot of the other ones. It starts to get stale because there's a lot less progress you can make at one time, and it's unfortunate. It's just the way it is. So the time lapses do help to cut down a little bit on that, and trying to break things into a little bit more manageable chunks of related projects also helps significantly. Hopefully you've been able to see that kind of evolution of the whole process as we've gone the past couple months or so. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and check out of the time lapse and see how much of this wall we're able to get built. Alright, so coming out of the time lapse, I want to hit pause real quick, start of a 25-day bad tide. I wanted to see just how full everything got in its current configuration. And it looks like, remember, we don't have any outflow on any of this. That's probably a mistake, but we filled up a pretty good amount. We're just shy of 1 full block height capacity remaining. Or I guess just a little bit more than that. Words are hard, okay? It's been a very long day. But I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good about this. Like, this is day 8, so we had 7 full days to get this filled up this much from... I mean, it wasn't empty, but it didn't have a ton of water in it. So I'm feeling pretty good long term about the possibility that we could expand under here, and then also over this way that this would fill up adequately. Remember, it wasn't too far down from, I guess I could, yeah, from this height number 8. Wasn't too far down from this thing here. It could have been like, I don't know, half a block down, 3/4 of a block down, if I'm remembering correctly. If not, please feel free to correct me. That's always an option. But I think the plans we're talking about earlier in the episode are going to all be worth doing on a long enough timeline. So that is very good to see. I always like to check and make sure that our bad water stuff is actually functioning correctly. And you know what we didn't do that I just remembered? We hadn't set this off. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll just go ahead and do this because I hadn't done that either. So go ahead and put this on single time speed. Blast away. And remember, this is going to level the playing field, so to speak, on our output here. Yeah, and that should, in theory, help this be a little bit smoother, a little bit less turbulence. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like this is actually, oh, that's so much better. It's so much better. I can't believe I hadn't done this. That is nice, very good to see. And this isn't flowing very fast this way, which is kind of strange. I guess it comes in waves. If we put this on triple, maybe it'll go a little bit faster. Yeah, okay. I think that was a very good thing that we should have done a lot sooner. But I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty reasonably happy with that. So, we did make one of these monstrosities again. I honestly should have left it in place, but I didn't think we were going to end up doing this again. We do still have to get this whole thing taken care of as well. So I'm going to... Yes, I know. Going to enter the time-lapse once more, try to build as much of the complete outside of this as we can, and then after that time-lapse is over, we're going to be able to hopefully start running the power over to the mine area and maybe do a little bit of reconfiguring. I don't know exactly how much I'm going to be able to do in this episode. Again, I don't know how long the time-lapses are going to take. I don't know how long it's going to be. So I kind of can't plan ahead for a lot of this stuff. So hopefully you can appreciate that. But we'll go ahead and we'll come out and see just how long it took, how much we were able to get done. All right, let's come out of this time lapse and admire our now complete corner of, well, at least the very outside, except for this bit. But it's, you know, it's basically complete. So now what we have to do is decide exactly how we're going to proceed from this point with our zipline pylons. What I'd done over on this side was I just kind of, you know, completed the pattern the same general direction we were going before. I maybe could have been a little smarter with this. Like, I know this is a station here. If we're going to, you know, have this be fully complete or kind of marginally complete, then this station might not want to be right here. Maybe it needs to go somewhere else. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is we have an opportunity, because remember, this is a... see if I can get this to play nice. Okay, so this is 0. This should be 255 in this corner. 254. Never mind. So, anyway, math is hard. We've already established this. What I was trying to get at is I could just do this same thing here, where this is inset diagonally 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess technically 5. And then have this just be a pylon, and then we can go in from the inside with the stations as well. It depends on how we want this to look, because I feel like that's probably going to make more sense. And we'd already talked a little bit about, you know, like the height strategy for all this. Like, this is block number 12. So this height that we just did here is what this entire 6 wide, if we want to go 6 wide, thing is going to end up being. So I know there's more construction that has to happen. But I'll go ahead and just get that popped in, because they can build this a lot quicker than what we'd done previously. Let's go ahead and get that whole thing going there. But I think that's what I'm going to want to do, is just start in the corner and see what we can get at. So for that to be a thing, this is 1, 2, 3. This would be 4. And then I'd have to have a 5. But I don't have a 5 unless I have this other thing come up as well. So that would be... Remember, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Here. This would be 5. This would be 6. This bit here would be 6. So that just has to be same level there. And assuming I have committed math correctly, then we should be good to go. And it seems like I have. But point being, once this is fully ready to go, then that will be fully ready to go. And then that means this bit in the corner here at that exact height will be, come on, will be that thing right there. And it should line up perfectly beautifully. If it does not, then, well, you know, that's... sounds like it's more or less par for the course with me in this game. But regardless, that's going to put us on a pretty good path to getting this fully connected. Obviously, these gravity batteries have to go away. And then at that point, we have to be able to... Okay, I guess I do need to put in a pathway along this entire thing here. We do need to be able to hook up to the rest of the map with a bunch of other stuff. And we have our crenellations and all that fun that have to go around the outside here. Well, I guess they don't technically have to, but I figured that would probably be the better way to do it. And this is technically too high right here. That will have to go down. But we also can come in this way. Nice and simple. In fact, I think I would like to have this come in this way and then do that on top, just like so. Now remember, this height is the correct height, 12 that we're going for. We can come in here and start this whole process once again. You already know we're going to have to do a whole bunch of stuff with all this mess anyway. But I had built another doohickey here for the storage of scrap metal, regular metal, not scrap metal, and now we have, as a result, 2,000, so I think we're probably okay to keep going with some of the rest of this. I just don't want to be too hasty in doing some of this stuff. Just want to make sure we're, you know, not... No, come on. Want to make sure we're doing what we can do to the best of our abilities. Just take care of that. Now, they're not going to be able to build the rest of this without the help of a... what do you call it? So, that's going to have to go up this side to that exact height, and then we can, you know, keep building out from there. So, it's everyone's favorite time once again, where I, once again, do another time-lapse, where we build more and more land, but we are getting really close, friends. We should be able to, by the end of this episode, have all the power connected all the way over there, take that whole thing out, fully complete this corner of the wall, and by proxy, technically, completely seal in the entire map for our purposes. There's going to be some other modifications, other decorations, different things to put in place, but it will more or less be, quote-unquote, fully contained, and we'll see where we go from there. Alright, so, we got this corner more or less complete. I'll put this rest of this back up. So, I was thinking that I didn't really have a good concept for how I wanted to run the power shafts when we got to that point. So, I guess we could talk a little bit about the different ideas, but there's still a little bit that has to get done over here. I kind of forgot that they couldn't reach this. So, yeah, I should have fixed this, but I didn't. So, that will have to, you know, just take the time that it's going to take. But I figured, you know, since we have this at height level 16, we have the crenellations here. We had the zipline pylons and the stations and all that jazz buried to where we have... Wait, is this one not connected? No, it is. It just wasn't showing up red for some reason. Strange. But what I was getting at is this is at 16. These are on the same level that this is. So if we wanted to, and I haven't really asked, but some of you seem to think that we shouldn't have all of the height all the way around, and that the main castle area should be the 16 high with the crenellations, and then this should be lower or not have a wall at all. But we already started building the wall, so we're gonna have a wall. But if we're going to have a power run, I did just think that maybe instead of having crenellations here, we could potentially just completely fill this in and then have a second level above it to create a 2-high wall, and then we could have our path around the outside, and then on top of the path via platforms, and then of course the power shafts, we could just have that go all the way around this outside until it reached to right about here. So the height of the power shafts would end up being 13, which the height here is 15, so it would be 2 below that, so it would end up being where the level, the level of this solid power shaft would be the height of all that other stuff. So that's spilling out now. That's looking good. I don't know where the stranded beaver bot is. Okay, I guess that's maybe my fault that's there. We'll maybe fix that. But now I'm very interested, now that we have basically only used, I guess, 2 full blocks of height, maybe a little bit less during that entire 25-day bad tide. I'm very interested to see how quickly this fills up, and also how quickly it becomes a problem. But, you know, hard mode, you could have a wet season as short as, what, 5 or 6 days, I think. Don't quote me. So we'll see. We'll monitor the situation. If we have to end up, you know, putting in some sort of diversion thing, then we will. But I said earlier in the episode we're going to have power run through here, but I would like to leave it up to you guys to decide what you would like to do. Would you want to see this same kind of height thing extended here? Remember that underneath we have a lot of options for running different stuff like power or pathways or whatever you feel like. We can also, like a couple of you suggested, put gravity batteries inside the wall. That's always an option. We can do that probably if we, you know, blasted this bit out here so we had 4 wide space in the middle. We could very, very easily just put in gravity batteries back. Of course, that's not going to work. We could put gravity batteries back to back just like this. And obviously it would be, you know, 1 more over, but there is a pathway there. And they could get connected pretty easy. The height on these is... looks like 4. The question is that a hard or a soft 4? Looks like that's a hard 4. If I am able to put in land above this... Okay, this isn't gonna play nice, is it? Is it not gonna play nice because it actually needs 5? Or is it not gonna play nice because I've managed to do something incorrectly? It looks like that might actually be the case. Let's check this just real quick. Okay, so we can have a gap 4 high and put in gravity batteries underneath. That is good to know. So, assuming we were going to put some inside the wall, again, please let me know if you want to see this, or if you don't want to see it or whatever. I am genuinely interested in your opinions, because remember, it's a Let's Play, not a Watch Me Play. I say it a whole lot, but bears repeating. If we were to put these inside the wall, if this was height 16, we would run into issues with the zipline pylons being in the way. So, we would have to, if we're going to run this, have that be so this terrain block is height 12, which means this is 11, this is 10, this is 9, this is 8. They would be sitting on height 7, which, to give you a frame of reference, is... That's 9, really? Okay, this is 7. This height here is 7. So where the smelters currently are is height 6. So, oh, or I could have just said, you know what? The large windmills. So where these large windmills are would be where the basically the same height of the gravity batteries could be. This area right here would not be a fantastic place to do that, but there's a lot of the rest of this, if we go ahead and peel it back, where that would be possible. So 7 here is the level, I think, yeah, the same level as our Badwater Canal here. So it wouldn't work until we got to right about here. We'd, of course, have to blast this out. But we could actually do it all the way down to bedrock. But for the sake of my sanity and the sake of us, you know, actually accomplishing something inside of 80 episodes, which I'm sure there's some of you that would be absolutely ecstatic to see the series go 80 episodes. There's a lot of you who would absolutely hate to see that and would quit watching the video, so I don't want to do that. We could put in gravity batteries, a whole lot of them, underneath this as well with the same height. Remember, just because this isn't tall above this doesn't mean anything is different for what we've already discussed. It would be the same thing here. So since there's nothing, you know, having to transit underneath water-wise, bad water-wise, I think this thing right here would probably make the most sense to do that. So let's do a little mock-up of this. I'll just peel this one layer back, and I will show you kind of what I'm getting at. I know we'd have to blast a bunch of this out, but take a look here. This is 4. Bear with me while I attempt to do math here. That would be 7. Okay. So you take that out, and then you just put in a bunch of this guy all the way down here. Give me 6 here, and then I would have to put in those that... Oh, that's one more higher. Again, I'm attempting to commit math. I need to place these on the 6. There we go. Now that's the correct height, so I can kind of show you what I'm doing here. I've paused the game so I don't accidentally build. Hopefully we've been over that enough for you to understand. All right, so that's basically what that would look like. And, you know, obviously we're not going to know what the HPH is going to be from that height, but we have access to these guys here. And these guys are at a base level of 10, and they're giving 26,000. So, I think it's 2,000 per level, including the height that it's at. So this would be 10, this would be 11, this would be 12, this would be 13. So that would make sense going all the way down to 0. So 7, I think, should actually count the same as 10, which would be 20,000 each. Please, and I'm actually serious, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, because you and me both know math is a thing that exists. But if each of these was 20,000 HPH, we could have this go all the way from, obviously the placement here is not exact, but we could have it go all the way from here, all the way up to right where these are. You can't tunnel underneath the water source blocks. That's not a thing the game allows you to do anymore. So we could come all the way out to here, and then also in through here, all the way around to wherever we want this to end. Obviously, we have to stay outside of these water sources. That's not going to be a problem in this spot. So we have a tremendous opportunity to put a lot, and I mean a lot, of gravity batteries inside this that would almost certainly, you know, just be enough battery power for the entire rest of the playthrough, whatever it is we're going to end up doing. And it would mean we could get rid of all of these gravity batteries here. We could get rid of the windmills. We could put windmills inside the tunnel. That was something somebody suggested. But I think we would be in a really, really good spot. So I eagerly await your ideas, your feedback, your thoughts on how viable you think that might be. I will, for the sake of our collective sanity, go ahead and just leave this in place, but I will pause it so it cannot possibly be accidentally built, because we know these beavers and bots are a little bit energetic, a little bit enthusiastic for stuff that, you know, maybe shouldn't be built at this exact moment in time. But that's, I guess I'll go ahead and unpause this. I didn't really need to have it paused that entire time, but that's my thought process on that. I would really like to hide the gravity batteries. I would really like to see if we could hide some of the windmills, which would be a little bit of a taller ask. But remember what I said here about, you know, can't tunnel underneath water sources. We could put windmills down in the bottom of this bit here and maybe fit a few more than you might think. Remember, these are occupying a 3x3 space. And in terms of height requirements, you take a look here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 5. And then I'm assuming there'd have to be some sort of a thing on top. So let's commit math once again. I'm sickeningly curious about this. So this is 3. So this would be 5 right here. If we were to come on top with a piece of dirt, oh, that's so easy. That's so easy. So this would be a 4 wide interior space here. We could have a single large windmill, and we could just do a whole line of these things, and all we would have to have is 5 height. Plus, you know, they have to be connected. So we could easily put that at the bottom of this stuff. Obviously, you know, not in the same place that we're trying to build these gravity batteries, but it would be pretty simple. Pretty simple, pretty easy process to be able to do that. And I think that would be a fun way to get the best of both worlds. You know, the people that wanted to hide the gravity batteries, wanted to hide the windmills, so on and so forth, and make good use of that. We also have an opportunity. I don't think I want to do this, but multiple people have brought it up, so I do want to at least talk about it. We do have the opportunity to put water wheels inside the wall. Currently, this is a 2-block high area. We could, I'm not going to say easily, but like it could be done. It's just going to be kind of an annoying process, but we could blast this out to be 3 high, which would accommodate a full set of water wheels all the way down here, and probably would generate a pretty good amount of power. I personally don't think that's something we need to worry about, because we have some here, and you know, there's other opportunities we have to generate power with this stuff here as well. And this is still, I mean, it's not generating like incomprehensible quantities of power, but it's still pretty good. Plus, coupled with everything connected in here, I think we're going to be in a good spot. So, you know, that's where I'm at with this. There's more stuff I'd like to do. There's enough that requires, or it doesn't really require your input, strictly speaking, but there's enough that I would like to have your input on that I think it's worth putting this off until the next video on Tuesday. So, please do let me know your thoughts. I always want to hear what you guys have to say about what we're doing, what you'd like to see, what you think is being done poorly, because that's the only way I can, you know, really gauge feedback besides, you know, like-dislike ratios. And I don't think I've ever had a video to get less than 97% likes. I mean, people seem to really like the videos, and that makes me happy, but I need to know if you don't like something, because I'm never going to figure it out if you don't let me know. So, I always do appreciate positive comments, constructive comments. You know, just straight up like, you're terrible, you suck. We're like, okay, that's not productive. Like, don't do that. You're just wasting your time. But I'm always going to welcome valid criticism that has some sort of a merit to it. That being said, I think we've reached kind of the logical point where this episode needs to end. I'm looking at OBS, and it says I've recorded for almost 2 hours. I don't know how long the episode's going to end up being, but you do, because, you know, you clicked on it. It had a little number in the corner of the thumbnail. But yeah. In summation, I want your thoughts about putting stuff inside the walls. I want your thoughts about how you want the outside of this to be finished. And I would continue to appreciate your thoughts on, you know, just general decoration stuff. I know we talked about putting in this. Oh, that didn't quite get finished, did it? We talked about putting stuff in here and, you know, making this into an inner keep or an abbey or whatever term you want to assign to this. And I think I've got a pretty good idea of what I'd like it to look like, but feel free to add your own thoughts in the comments as well. Obviously, still tons of work to get done, but I'm having a blast with this playthrough. I really love this, and I want this to be something we can look at far into the future and say, you know what, that was pretty cool, and I'm glad we did it the way we did it, because, you know, that's the whole point of playing games, right? Is to have fun, and with my videos especially, just serve as a fun way for people to enjoy the Beaver game, take a load off, and, you know, take their minds off of what other kind of garbage is going on in the world today, because, you know, we need that. So, all that being said, it is time to end the video. I know, I've said it like 4 or 5 times, but I really do appreciate you. If it wasn't already apparent enough, can't do it without your support. I really do genuinely appreciate everybody who watches the videos, Beard Boosters especially, for directly contributing to make you know, all of this stuff possible financially, to offset some of the craziness of the YouTube algorithm. And if I ever do need to take a day or 2 or 3 off, For real life stuff, you know, it takes a little bit of stress off my plate worrying about, oh, okay, well, is the algorithm going to punish me and no one's going to watch my videos anymore? But no, it's nice to have people in your corner that do genuinely believe in what we're trying to do here, foster a positive community, and support me along the way. So I'm very thankful for that, very thankful for you, even if you're not a part of that list. Glad we get to spend this time together. Whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we will see you in the next video. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.